with that?
Not really. I mean, listen, CBS Sports, they were great partners. They promote us like you wouldn't believe. And, you know, we'll continue our series with them, the recharge programming. And so we will continue a relationship with CBS Sports Network, and we will continue a relationship with CBS Sports and CBS Interactive. This is a company-wide initiative. Showtime will carry all the live events. But, you know, who knows where the undercards and things like that might end up.
Fair enough. And with this new Showtime deal, it reminds me of how when I was covering Strikeforce events back in the day, we saw the rise to prominence of people like Chris Cyborg and Ronda Rousey, Daniel Cormier, Luke Rockhold, the list goes on and on. Do you feel like this is the start of a current era of that with Showtime and Bellator?
Yeah, I have something I want to share with you here. I was talking to a Showtime cameraman, and he gave me this. He said, hey, this is from the time that Herschel Walker fought on your show in Florida, and he threw me this mic cube with the Showtime and Strikeforce logo. So it's amazing because the same crew is still here, and it's like I said, it's our family, and we have a family. Our families, you know, just merged together. We have an army of people now that are going to help work on this brand. But the answer to your question really is yes, because now we have the ability to continue to tell stories. And I think Showtime Sports are very good, if not the best storytellers that I've seen. And so to be integrated into their whole production and their company, I think that you'll see a lot of stars being built here at Bellator moving forward.
All right, guys, we got a ton of questions, so we'll limit it to one per person. We'll go to Damian Martin.
Hey, Scott, congrats on all the announcements today, but I got to ask, I asked Ryan Bader this question, so I'll ask it to you now. With Ryan Bader being in the light heavyweight tournament, what is the plan for the heavyweight division? He said he's going to hold on to his title. Is that the plan?
Yeah, listen, we're going to wait to see how he does on the 9th. And then if he wins and he's continuing on into the tournament, we might consider having an interim belt. But we're going to wait to see how the 9th goes first. If he doesn't, we can't just leave that heavyweight division out there like that. So we're going to give other fighters opportunities. But for right now, because the fight is, you know, a couple months away, we're going to see how it goes for Bader, and then we'll decide what to do from there.
We'll go to Jim Barcelone. Your line is live.
Thank you much. I'm curious with just Mauro Ranallo, what he has meant to Bellator. He's also worked for Showtime. And just how his impact and what he's able to do for the company.
Yeah, Mauro is amazing. And I'll tell you, the knowledge that he has in MMA, going back to the Pride days when he used to announce Pride with Bas Rutten. I used to watch all those fights at 2 or 3 in the morning from Japan. Or when I was there, I would see them live. And so, you know, his knowledge and expertise and comfort in this industry is unmatched. And when I think about the amount of great work he's done in boxing, it's impressive. I mean, he's done all the biggest fights, and he's grown, because I saw when he first started, he was just an up and coming guy, and now he's developed into Showtime Boxing's biggest broadcaster, and did all the big fights with Mayweather and Pacquiao and Conor and Mayweather, and I mean, there's just so many great fights he's done. It's unbelievable, the history that Mauro's had, in this space.
Nolan King.
Hey Scott, kind of a two-part question. We had talked a lot last year about the different weight classes that you could have chosen for a Grand Prix. When it came time to sit down at the table and make that decision, how much of a no-brainer was light heavyweight, and how much of a no-brainer was it to make Romero versus Rumble off the bat?
You know what? I'll tell you. We were actually heading into a different direction, and the direction was the female tournament at 125. And so what changed that was the free agent signings. When we started signing some of the, it started with Corey Anderson, actually. And because Bader was here, Phil was already here, Nemkov was here. And it started with Corey Anderson. Okay, this is going to be, to me, I said, this is the greatest heavyweight division in the planet, which to me now it's even greater than it was, than 6 months ago. So when we signed Rumble, And then, we took a kind of a beat and see. And then once we signed Yoel, we said, okay, now this is the tournament. How could we not do this tournament? We're getting bombarded online, socially, digitally, email, people hitting me up saying, hey, you got to do this. You got to have those 2 fights, or you got to do a tournament, one or the other. And I said, you know what? Not only are we going to do the tournament, we're going to give the fans what they want to see. We're going to do this fight. And the first fight is going to be Rumble versus Yoel. Because I believe this, when the fight is there, you got to do it. Because sometimes if you wait, for instance, if we would have waited and put these guys on the opposite side of the brackets, somebody gets hurt, somebody can't fight, somebody this and that. Things happen in this sport, right? And things change quickly. So I said, hey, let's put them first. Because when the fight is there in this sport, you gotta take it and you gotta do it. So, this is a fight that the fans want to see. It's going to be huge, and it's going to be a great way to launch our tournament in the first round.
All right, we'll go to Manabu. All right, we'll move along to Donna Corby.
Hey, okay, can you hear me?
Yes, Manabu, go ahead.
All right. So, Scott, can you let me know that how Japanese fans will be able to watch Bellator from April? And also, what was your planning bring back Kyoji Horiguchi in US in the future?
I tell you, we love Horiguchi. I personally like him. I think he owes us a fight, and he beat our guy twice. So, he's a great fighter. I just saw his recent fight in Japan. You know how much we love going to Japan. We still are talking to Sakibara-san about something in the future. Of course, the time right now is COVID, so it's very difficult for us to travel. It's very difficult for him to get fighters and staff and all of us over there. So we're going to just give it a beat. But if you ask me, I think Horiguchi will fight in Bellator sometime, representing Ryzen, of course. Representing Ryzen, Horiguchi will come here and fight our champion at some point, I think, this year.
All right, Donna.
Hey, Scott, how's it going?
Good.
A fighter I asked you about right before Christmas and who has made a name for themselves without going anywhere near your cage or a boxing ring, Dylan Dennis. What's the plan for him going forward? He's not going to be boxing. That's your good friend Ben Askren is going to be doing that job. But what's happening with Dylan Dennis? When do you expect to see him back?
Yeah, you know what? I was actually texting with him the other day, and I'd love to see him get back into the cage as early as April or May. So we haven't announced the undercard fights or the prelim fights, anything like that. But don't be surprised if you see him pop up, because we want to continue this guy's career. The guy is amazing, grappler, submission fighter, turning into an MMA fighter. He only has 3-4 fights. 5 fights, or I'm not sure exactly what his record is, but he's still in the infancy of his career, and so let him continue fighting. And we're going to get him in here as soon as we can.
Stephen Morocco.
Hey Scott, do you have any alternates or alternate fights planned yet for the Grand Prix?
Yes, Stephen, that's a good question. We do have them, but I want to announce them all together. So we'll get back to you maybe early next week on the announcement of that alternate, because we're going to have 2 alternate fights, not just 1.
All right, we'll go to Jay Anderson.
Hey, thanks very much, Scott. Obviously, the Grand Prix, big news. Why Yashi Murad of all people as that 8th man? And just to clarify, will these be 3 or 5 round fights for the non-title?
Are you talking about the tournament?
Yes.
Okay, yes. So because the champion will fight in the tournament, and the champion will put his belt on the line for every fight, which means the champion has to fight 5 rounds. So the answer is yes. Every fight in this tournament, even if you're not the champ, will be 5 5-minute rounds.
Okay, we'll go to Giancarlo Alino.
Hi, Scott. With Showtime now being accessible for viewing only in the States, just wondering if you have an update on how Canadians can watch the Bellator events coming up.
I'll tell you, we are signing a lot of international deals at this moment. And I know we're talking to a couple of broadcasters up in Canada. Hopefully we'll have something to announce soon, but I feel very confident that we'll have something to announce in Canada before the April date.
All right, we'll take another 3 or 4 questions. Let's go to Santiago.
Hi, Scott. Greetings from Amsterdam. Some people expected Gegard Mousasi in this light heavyweight Grand Prix as well. What plans does the promotion have for Gegard? And are we going to see him in the cage soon?
Well, Gegard was supposed to be here actually this week, not to fight in the middleweight light heavyweight tournament, but just to be here and be part of the festivities and the photo shoots, things like that. But unfortunately, they had a weather issue in Amsterdam. He couldn't fly here, and neither could Denise. But with Gegard, we're going to have him fight sometime, in the next 3-4 months. But he's not going to be in the tournament. He felt he was too light. And so he's going to stick to his weight class. And he did say that in the future, maybe he would fight the winner, or, we could work something out. But he's a guy that we have a lot of excitement. I mean, he's a very exciting athlete, and I really enjoy our relationship with him, and he's a great fighter. And I'm looking forward to having him back. So I would say if you had to bet on it, I would say by June he'd be fighting.
We'll go to Daniel Yanofsky.
Hey, Scott, congratulations on the new deal.
Thank you.
I was just curious, going back to the potentially women's Grand Prix, are there any plans for the immediate future for 125 if you're not going to do Grand Prix soon? And after one fight, are you going to consider the next Grand Prix women's?
No, the crossover between the featherweight and light heavyweight is only because of COVID, and we had to shut down last March. I'm sure you're aware of the situation, and it pushed everything back. The featherweight tournament was supposed to be over before the end of last year. So, 6 weeks ago, we should have been finished with this fight already, or this tournament. So now that it's overlapping, we have to continue, obviously, because, we have 3 great athletes there, and it's going to be an unbelievable semifinals, and then finals is going to be off the charts. And but we didn't want to wait until that was over to start the next tournament. So what you'll see this year is finishing the featherweight and the completion before the end of the year of the light heavyweight tournament. And then next year, we'll start another tournament in another weight class.
All right, we'll go now to Dylan Belker.
Hey there, Scott. The name Kyoji Horiguchi was mentioned just a bit before, and also Juan Archuleta and, Sergio Pettis coming up on the horizon. I'm kind of wondering if you're, going to offer up thoughts on how Bellator's division stacks up on the bantamweight level, because there's dialogue about the light heavyweight quality. But as far as Bellator's bantamweight division, what are your thoughts on how it stacks up?
Man, I'll tell you, I'm really excited about that weight class. And we have a bunch of guys we just signed, Magomed, and I think that he could fight anybody on any given day. And, Horiguchi will probably be in the mix. We have Sergio. We have one. I mean, we have, a good 10 athletes there that are going to be, really exciting and fun to watch. And I would say this, I think light heavyweight, I think our featherweight, and I think our bantamweight division is probably our 3 strongest divisions, for the amount of talent we have in each one of those weight classes.
All right, we'll move on to Edward Carbajal.
Hi, Mr. Coker. I just thought it was interesting that Mr. Espinosa used the word cross-pollination when you guys announced the new partnership. I'm just wondering, how deep does the Showtime Bellator rabbit hole go? Because I know you've done like Dynamite events. He talked about again cross-pollination. Would you see yourself doing boxing, MMA, co-promoted events? I know he specifically mentioned April 9th, but like, how far down the road, obviously with COVID, do you see like maybe doing one-offs on CBS or things like that?
I'll tell you, if it's up to me, I think that there is a crossover audience, and Steven thinks so too. And I think that collectively we can put together a fight card that I think the fight fans will want to see, boxing and MMA. And it doesn't have to be necessarily a boxer fighting an MMA fighter, but why can't you go to a fight night when it's an arena around the country, around the world one day? I mean, in Japan, it happens all the time. In Europe, it happens all the time. There's kickboxing, there's MMA, there's boxing. And, to me, it's like, why can't it all be together? I mean, last year, or actually in 2019, I went to Horiguchi's fight against Darren Caldwell. And the main event was Floyd Mayweather fighting Tension, a kickboxer. And so to me, it's, they and the fans loved it. The martial arts fans loved it there. So to me, if we get real boxing fights and real MMA fights, and cross-pollinate them, I think that'd be a great day because I think that there definitely a crossover audience.
Abdul Patel.
Hi, Scott. Congratulations on the Showtime partnership. I wanted to ask you in regards to the cryptocurrency situation. The market's quite high at the moment, and as we previously know, Rory McDonald got paid by a sponsor for cryptocurrency. And we're starting to see athletes now, like in the NFL with Russell Okung, the Carolina Panthers, be paid by Bitcoin as well as other soccer players. Is that something you would be interested in, athletes taking the lead on that?
Yeah, I mean, listen, cryptocurrency is, extremely hot right now. It was hot 3 years ago. And then it kind of had this wave. And really, that's something that, that's really something that I feel like we can have a conversation offline, because right now we're talking about the fights, the fighters, Showtime. To me, this is the conversation of today.
All right, let's move on to Kevin Varghese.
Hey, Scott. Congrats on the new signing with Showtime. Obviously, staying quiet in 2021 on January, not making any announcements. Then you come out with this huge announcement with the light heavyweight Grand Prix. Obviously, one of the main highlights is Yoel Romero. You're one of your new signings. What is the plans for Yoel Romero? Is it a permanent stay at 205, or are you going to entertain a possibility, if all goes well for Romero winning the title, to go down to 185 and challenge Mousasi?
Yes, I mean, those conversations have already happened. And what I would love to do is, if Yoel fights all the way through and wins the tournament, then he could move down to 85 and fight Gegard. If Yoel loses in the tournament somewhere, he can still move down to 85 and fight Gegard Mousasi. So to me, he could either a year from now or anywhere from 4, 5, 6 months from now, he could move down and fight Gegard. He said he'd be willing to move down to 85 and fight at 205. He's not afraid of either one.
Steve Juen?
Yeah, Scott, I just wanted to circle briefly back to Davletshan Yagshimuradov. Hope I said his name right. Where did you find this guy anyway?
You know what? He's a guy that my guys have been scouting, Rich and Mike, and they've been scouting this guy for a while and followed his career and said, this guy is a stud and he's going to be deserving of having a spot in this tournament. So, I personally haven't seen him fight myself, but when my guys say that he's of that caliber, then, I trust him, and I feel really good about putting him in the tournament. And it's always the unknown, like when you have a fight and Ryan knows everybody in this tournament, but he probably doesn't know him. And that's where it gets a little tricky. If he eventually has to fight him, or Corey Anderson probably hasn't seen him fight much. And that's where things can go a little wrong. And, to me, let's get him here. Let's get him fighting, take a look at him, see how he does. And I wish all 8 guys good luck. This is going to be a fantastic tournament. And like I said, they all get paid their full purses. At the end of the rainbow, there's another $1 million waiting for you, and we're happy to give it to you.
All right, we'll take our final question here from Max Morales.
Hi, I'm Max Morales from MMA Pit, and I want to ask you, for those last events we could see in Mexico and Latin America, the transmission on YouTube, are there any changes in this with this new deal with Showtime? Is still the region, Latin America, still in mind for Bellator in 2021?
Yes, that's a very good question. So right now, between now and April, I think you'll see us closing a lot of international deals, including Latin America. And I think that those will happen over the next 2 months. So right now, we want to announce this announcement with Showtime. And this week, we have some European announcements we're going to make. And then we're going to have some Asian announcements we're going to make. And then, Latin America, we feel very confident we're going to have a deal there before the first fight on April 2nd.
All right. Thank you very much, Scott.